Imagine this, a sleek, almost impossibly clean apartment, bathed in the soft glow of city lights. On the minimalist coffee table, a single, perfectly placed designer handbag. The owner, impeccably dressed, sips from a crystal glass, their expression serene, almost detached. This is the image of effortless wealth often presented to us. It's the curated perfection, the seamless flow of luxury, the absence of visible struggle. But what if this very picture, this ideal of effortless success, is not only unattainable for most, but actively detrimental? What if the allure of effortless wealth is actually a sophisticated trap, luring us into a cycle of misdirected energy and ultimately dissatisfaction? We are bombarded with this narrative daily. Social media feeds overflow with aspirational lifestyles, exotic vacations booked at a moment's notice, high-end purchases made with a casual swipe, careers that appear to ascend without a single setback. This constant exposure creates a powerful psychological anchor. We begin to associate wealth not with diligent effort, a long-term strategy, or quiet discipline, but with an almost magical ease. We see the outcome, the polished result, and we infer that the process must have been equally smooth. But as any seasoned investor or entrepreneur will tell you, the journey to significant financial security is almost never effortless. It's often a messy, demanding, and at times deeply uncomfortable process. The curated highlight reel we consume online deliberately omits the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the anxieties, and the sheer grinding persistence required to build something substantial. This disconnect between the perceived ease of the destination and the actual arduousness of the journey is where the trap lies. The problem isn't that people don't desire wealth, they do. The problem is how they conceive of it, and therefore how they pursue it. For many, the psychological weight of the effortless narrative leads them astray. Instead of focusing on the unsexy foundational work, they chase the illusion of easy gains. This manifests in various ways, but a primary culprit is lifestyle inflation coupled with status signaling. We see the effortless wealth, and our primal desire for belonging and recognition kicks in. We want to signal that we've made it, so we start mirroring the outward signs of that effortless success, often before we've actually built the underlying financial engine to support it. This isn't about being foolish. It's about a deep-seated psychological tendency to prioritize social perception and immediate gratification over long-term financial health. A 2019 study in the Journal of Consumer Psychology highlighted how social comparison significantly influences spending habits, particularly when individuals perceive a gap between their current status and their desired status. When that desired status is painted as effortlessly wealthy, the pressure to emulate those outward markers becomes immense. Let's break down the math versus the psychology. The math of wealth accumulation is, at its core, quite simple: earn more than you spend. Invest the difference wisely, and let compounding work its magic over time. It's a predictable, if sometimes slow, process. The psychology, however, is far more complex. Our brains are wired for immediate rewards, for social validation, and for avoiding discomfort. The patient, disciplined approach required for true wealth building often clashes with these fundamental drives. Consider the paycheck-to-paycheck PAW versus the acquire wealth AW profiles that financial planners sometimes discuss, though perhaps not with this exact terminology. The PAW individual lives closer to their means, often with a significant portion of their income dedicated to housing, transportation, and consumption. They might have a decent job, but their financial trajectory is precarious. A single unexpected expense can derail them. They are, in essence, always on the edge. Contrast this with the AW individual. They might earn a similar income, or even less, but their behavior is fundamentally different. They live well below their means. Their housing is practical. Their car is reliable, rather than flashy, and their spending on non-essentials is deliberate and controlled. This isn't about deprivation. It's about prioritization. The AW individual understands the hidden cost of consumption, not just in dollars and cents, but in lost future potential. Every dollar spent on a depreciating asset or a fleeting status symbol is a dollar that could have been invested, compounding over years to create genuine financial freedom. Research from institutions like the Vanguard Group has consistently shown that lower costs and consistent savings rates are more significant predictors of long-term investment success than market timing or picking the hottest stocks. But telling someone to drive an older car and live in a more modest home isn't as glamorous as showing them a penthouse apartment. This leads us to the core sequence of how this trap operates. First, the behavior. We observe the perceived effortless wealth, and our brains interpret it as the norm, or at least the desirable state. We then start to emulate the behaviors associated with that state, often without understanding the underlying financial discipline. We might buy the designer clothes, lease the luxury car, or frequent expensive restaurants, not because we can truly afford them without consequence, but because we are chasing the feeling, the image of effortless success. The hidden cost here isn't just the money spent. It's the opportunity cost. That money, channeled into assets or investments, could have been generating returns, building equity, and creating a buffer against life's inevitable uncertainties. A 2020 analysis by the National Bureau of Economic Research indicated that a significant portion of high earners still live paycheck to paycheck, largely due to persistent lifestyle inflation. They are effectively trading their future freedom for present-day status signals. And then there's the long-term math. For every year spent on consumption that outpaces earning, the compounding effect working against you becomes more pronounced. That $1,000 spent on a new gadget today could be worth $5,000 in 10 years if invested. The AW individual understands this. They are willing to forego immediate, performative consumption for the greater reward of future optionality. They are building a foundation, brick by painstaking brick, that will eventually allow for true, unburdened enjoyment of resources. The unsexy alternative to chasing the illusion of effortless wealth is, quite simply, diligent, often invisible work. It's about understanding the power of delayed gratification. It's about saying no to the immediate status symbols and yes to the long-term financial architecture. It's about finding satisfaction in the process of building, not just in the performance of having arrived. This brings us to a crucial identity shift. We need to redefine what true wealth means. For too long, we've conflated wealth with status symbols and outward appearances. Real wealth is not about the car you drive or the watch you wear. It's about optionality. It's about freedom. It's about control over your time and your life. It's the ability to say yes to opportunities and no to obligations that don't serve you without financial coercion. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your financial house is in order, regardless of what anyone else thinks or sees. The AW individual's identity is rooted in their control and freedom, not in their possessions. So how do we begin to dismantle this trap in our own lives? It starts with a single actionable step, one that you can implement within the next 24 to 48 hours. Take a hard look at your spending, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Identify one recurring expense, however small, that doesn't genuinely contribute to your well-being or your long-term goals. It could be a subscription you rarely use, a daily coffee shop run, or that impulse purchase you made last week. Once identified, commit to eliminating or drastically reducing that expense for the next month. Then, and this is critical, take the money you would have spent and transfer it directly into a savings or investment account. It won't feel like a luxury handbag, and it certainly won't look like effortless wealth to anyone else. But this small, disciplined act of reclaiming your resources is the first, quiet step towards building a foundation that can, eventually, afford you true, unperformative freedom.